have you with us this morning. You know, President Trump's former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, is talking about his tenure as White House Chief of Staff. And in a recent interview at Duke University, he said it was his, quote, least enjoyable job, unquote, that he's had, but also, quote, the most important as well.
He also talked about immigration and the proposed wall at the U.S.-Mexico border. He called the wall from sea to shining sea a waste of money and criticized the president's claim that immigrants crossing the border illegally are criminals. And Kelly even told his temporary replacement, Mick Mulvaney, to run for it. That was a joke. He also said that he should tell the president what he needs to hear. Joining me now to discuss is CNN military analyst, Lieutenant General Mark Hertling once again. General, thanks for staying with us. And first, you know General Kelly very well. You both coordinated operations in Iraq. Let me first get your thought on, you know, the general was seen as the adult in the room for most of his time there as the White House Chief of Staff. But you take issue with, first, some of the things he said and did to support some of the president's impulses while he was working at the White House. What are your concerns?
Well, Victor, I did know General Kelly when we both commanded as two-star generals in Iraq. He was in the western part of Iraq in Anbar province. I was in the northern part, and we collaborated and coordinated operations across our common boundary. So I knew him as a very good soldier, a true professional with a great sense of values. I also admired him for taking the job as Chief of Staff because I knew it was going to be challenging for him, difficult, but he was asked to serve the country and he decided he would serve the country. Unfortunately, the president, I think, wanted him to serve more the president, the individual, as opposed to the Constitution and the country. He attempted and explained to Peter Faber at Duke University how he attempted to provide advice and set the stage for good decision making by the president and wasn't always successful in that. Okay, well and good. But we can't forget there were some things that you can't put in the contextualized professionalism or values box when, as Chief of Staff, not as General Kelly, but as Chief of Staff, he actually commented on the professionalism of journalists in the White House briefing room. He dissed, in effect, a congresswoman regarding her stand on various issues. And some of the other things he said to the president, something that was caught off mic when the president was giving a ceremonial saber, he said, hey, you can use that on the press. That's unprofessional. And it goes against all of the things we see in the Constitution. So I have problems with all of that. Now that he's outside of the bubble of the White House, he can make more open comments about the situation at the southern border, and I think he's doing that. But again, you can't have it both ways. You can't be a professional and execute unprofessional acts. And I think he did that several times while Chief of Staff.
So, you know, there will be those inevitable, you know, as it relates to the wall, to immigrants who are coming into the country. Why didn't you say something when you were a member of the cabinet, when it really mattered, when you were a member of government? Is it realistic to expect this is a general who respects rank, who is socialized in the military, also the Chief of Staff who works at the pleasure of the president, to buck the president, even publicly, while he's working in the White House? Would that be a fair question to ask? Why not say something, do something when you're working in the White House?
I don't think it is, Victor, and this goes against what I just said to you. But it truthfully, yes, his military background would lend him to understand what he had to do as Chief of Staff. And the duties of a Chief of Staff are not the duties of a general. They are not the duties of a member of the cabinet. They are there to ensure the principal, in this case the president, is given the best type of information for decision making. And whether or not the Chief of Staff agrees with those decisions is completely out the window. He's not there to agree or disagree. He is there to tee up subjects and to tee up options and courses of actions. And I think probably General Kelly, or excuse me, Chief of Staff Kelly did that. And he did that very well because of his background in the military. But still, there were some times as an individual that he did not perform as we would hope from a professional standpoint and from an individual who was immersed in the military values.
All right, General Hertling, thanks for staying with us.
Thank you, Victor. Have a good day.